both the dump pipe and the screamer pipe for the exhausts are done. So before I pull this manifold off and coat it, I'm going to get every bit of mocking up done that I can, and then I'll pull it all off and do it all at once. So, okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is do the water in and out of the turbo, the oil feed and oil out. They should be pretty straightforward. I've actually done a couple of videos on making your own AN fittings if you're interested, so I'll try to put a link up in the description here. But yeah, they're easy to do. I'm going to be using 200 series, which is the Teflon braided, mainly because I've got some left. In my opinion, the Teflon's really good because it's more durable to heat. I'm going to be actually wrapping these with some heat shielding, but yeah, in my opinion anyway, I think they're a lot more stronger when they're around heat sources. They don't break down like rubber, and also especially for fuel, it's a must for fuel lines because it doesn't permeate, so you get a fuel smell if you use rubber, and it's good with E85, so the guys who run E85 only use 200 series or ethanol approved rubber lines, but do it properly. So what my plan is for the water feed, so I'm going to drill I can't remember what size AN male flares I got, but I think they're a 1/2 inch BSP. So I'm going to drill one in somewhere here, have a 90 off that, go into the turbo, and then it's going to come out, go a similar route, then I'm going to tap it back into the top radiator neck. So basically your hot water comes out the top hose, through the rad, all the way to the bottom, and by then it should be cool, and then it goes back into the water pump. So, should be easy enough. This one I'll just drill and I'll kind of reverse flush from this hose here, flush any shit out. I'm going to take care and not try to get too much stuff in, but there always will be, so I'll do my best to flush that out. While I was waiting for that screamer pipe to dry, I already drained out the coolant, so we're pretty well good to go. And yeah, as for the oil feed, I've already got this old one that I've had for ages, but you know, this fitting is a bit ugly. So as I was saying, I've got nice AN fittings, and I've also got a pre-filter for this oil feed. So that just comes from down here where the factory sensor is. You can see there, it's just a brass T, factory sensors in the top there, and then I've got another T which will have my pressure sensor for the gauge and also the top AN fitting, which goes to the turbo. And then oil drain, you can see that blue -10 flare cap there, basically just coming right out of here on the turbo down into the sump there. I did a pretty neat setup. That's actually the inlet to the sump is submerged all the time. A lot of manufacturers I've seen have done that, which basically when oil comes back into the sump, it's really frothy because it's been through the turbo, it's been broken down, it's been aerated. So what it does, I'll try to find a photo and put on the screen of what I did when I actually did it. It just lets it hit the oil level and then restabilize before it gets mixed back into the oil. Subaru do it. I noticed that on that car there, when I built that, the feed goes straight into the bottom of the sump. So anyone who says that you can't run a oil return lower than the oil level, or below or in the oil level, they're wrong, because it doesn't matter. It's just like a toilet, it's always going to displace the water, just like any kind of trap in plumbing. Alright, so water lines are tapped and the fittings are on. However, I thought that I had a couple of meters of -6, but it was actually -8. So that's going to be a couple of days away to finish those hoses up, but that's no biggie. That's not going to stop me getting everything pretty well ready to go. So the last thing that I need to do, well, the thing that needs to be done on the hoist anyway, would be a lot easier on the hoist before I can then pull all this off and paint it, as I've said a million times, is I'm going to do a new hot side pipe. So this shouldn't be too bad. I've got a fair bit of scrap 2.5 inch alloy pipe. So all my couplers should be able to work. So it'll go 2.5 inch and then reduce up to 3 inch to go through the intercooler, and then it's 3 inch from the intercooler into the engine. So I guess I'll play around with this. Hopefully it shouldn't be too bad. I've already got a hole cut here. So it's looking pretty fucking messy, but all this is gonna go straight on the car very, very soon, and it's all gonna look tidy again. I figured I'll show you guys this. I'm guessing probably 90% of you guys have never seen this stuff before or heard of it. This is called Remflex gasket. They're from America. It used to be hard to get in Australia. I actually used to have to send it to a relative in Texas and get him to send it to me. But there's a guy on eBay now who stocks this. So this is the Remflex sheet. So it's DIY gasket. It's essentially a 1/8 inch thick or 3.2 mil graphite composite. So it's really good for flanges that are warped or you keep having issues blowing out. I've been using this for many years now. I've never had a blowout or anything. And it's really good because it seals up really well every time. So basically, as you can see, I've just traced things out. I used to do it all in one line, but I figured, you know, this is about $100. I can get away with just doing double cylinder instead of wasting, you know, the whole long section there. So I'll do a bank of 2 and then a single one there. So I'm doing that. I've got the last one in the oven baking, which I'll go and show you guys in a sec. And look at these, they have turned out beautiful. So these ones have already been baked as per BHT's baking process. So it's like 120 and then 200 and then 240, sorry, and then like 300 and something. It's a long process, it's about 3 hours all up, but the finish is great, and that's got the satin clear on top of it. So that is pretty much as good as a professional job. So yeah, let's go have a look and get the other one out of the oven. Well, I've got to put on the last last baking profile, so we'll do that now. So the old workshop kitchen's getting a bit of a workout. This goes on to max temp. So the last half hour of this, then we'll let it cool down for half an hour. And she's done. Holy shit balls, it is the time to put all this on. Actually, you haven't even seen this yet, so I'll show you this. I've just mocked it all up on the mock-up engine for the last time, just to get some, you know, photos and all that stuff. Also to check the fitment. But here it is. Look at that. I must say this paint job's turned out bloody nice. It really makes a difference to bake that properly as per their procedure. Look at that work of art. I'm so stoked with this. Hopefully it works as good as it looks. I love the sneaky little screamer. Basically goes out the guard here, and that just dumps down under the car. And this sexy Arashi turbo. That better sound amazing. You see my little 2-piece dump, so that's the section that's really easy to remove, so I can just undo that V-band, pull it out. I'll probably have to get rid of the wastegate as well, but that's also on a V-band, so there's no drama. Then I can get to the plugs easy enough. Anyways, as I was showing you guys just before, here are the gaskets that I've cut out. As you can see. Yeah, if you take your time, they turn out pretty good. They do say that they're a once use only gasket, but I've used these sometimes twice, even 3 times if you're careful. What I'm going to actually trial this time is put a little bit of grease on each face so that they don't stick to the head or to the flange, so that I can essentially, if you don't over tighten them, you won't squash them too much, so you get a few uses out of them. But hopefully you won't need to come on and off very often. And I've got that spare stuff in the cupboard as well. Also got a new turbo beanie to go on, which you'll see when it's all set up. What else? Oh yeah, spark plug lead or boot protectors. I did have a set of these on. You pretty much need to run these. That's them. I'm sure you've all seen them before, so they're a must. I bought a set of 8 because that's all I can find, but it's good to have a couple of spares, or I can double them up on ones that are super close. And yeah, it's just time to put all this back in this and then take this off the hoist and work on some other stuff. Ben's actually coming here shortly to do a couple of things. He's actually going to put a uni chip, well, the uni chip that I've had for ages, but he's going to wire it in trade. I'm going to fix the exhaust on his Prado. So I'll hopefully get the manifolds on, and then I'll probably just roll it off the hoist, put it aside, do Ben's car, Ben will do my car, and then we'll go tune the surf, so that'll be another video. And then we'll probably even do a bit of a street tune on this, because no doubt the fueling will be off because this turbo is bigger and different. So stay tuned. Lots of stuff for 2019. Looks so good. And I forgot to show you the newest tool that I bought for the shop, guys. Check this out. This cost me so much, but it's so worth it. Look at this bad boy. VBG spell. $20 from Audi. Money well spent. So I've just been putting it all back together, as you can see. Hopefully. Down there, it's quite tight to get to the number 1 or 2. I can't remember which side. I think it's number 1. Been a long time. Cylinder down there. So I did have this angled plug. So these are custom Top Gun leads. They're custom made. So I was just you know, just testing how flexible it is, and then this happened. So it kind of cracked right through to the conductor. So it's kind of prompted me to address the LS coil setup. So I've got spark plug leads. I'm probably going to have to custom make 2 for this side, a bit longer because they're going to be in the way. So I think for the time being I might just tape that up just to get it started, check everything's okay, and then before I start dialing this again, we're going to move on to the LS coil setup. So it's a little bit of work, probably a day's worth of wiring. You know, you could do it in a few hours, but I'm doing it really neat and tidy. I'm moving the DFI because you need to retain that to be able to trigger the module. For those of you who don't know, I'll show you what it is. So this is the LS coil driver. Basically takes the signal output from the DFI and converts it to a logic signal, which the LS coils use. And yeah, just a matter of hooking up the right wires. I'll mount this down where the ECU is. I'll mount the DFI probably hidden inside the airbox with some neat wiring. And then it's just a matter of doing a loom for the LS coils. But anyway, back to the actual issue. Everything's coming together. It's a shame about that lead, but what do? I could run a factory lead and put the 90-degree end down on that plug. It actually works really well, but it's got the straight end up this way, which means I wouldn't be able to close the bonnet. So I'll tape this up, see how I go, and I'll keep plodding on with this. Alright, so I just thought I would stop there and show you guys a cool little trick that I've developed, especially for AN fittings like this one on the side of a turbo, where it's kind of hard to get, well, it's impossible to get a spanner in there. So essentially, I'll just get a cheap set of spanners, in this case ring spanners. I originally did this to get to one of the dash 10 lines on my Subaru. So this is for a dash 6, so 11/16. As you can see, you cut the end out there. I've had to shape it a little bit, shave it down just to fit you know, between the turbine housing and the compressor housing. So that's that. And I've done the 1-inch one for the dash 10. Same deal, I haven't got to shave that one at all because that just fit. So I kind of use that to get my oil drain on, which is where my finger is there. So yeah, just a cool little tip I thought I'd show you guys. So I'm going to keep on with this. Well, it's all pretty well together. Yeah, everything's on. Wastegate's not hooked up yet. I'm not really planning on boosting anyway. What else? All the AN lines are on, hopefully none of them leak. They're a bit of a bastard, but that little tool saved it. Spark plug leads and the new protective boots are on. That's all going to change quite shortly, but just for the sake of getting it running. I still do need to do a new intake into the airbox. That's no biggie. I've got some bits of 4-inch left that I can hopefully make work. So I'm basically at the point where I'm going to put my coolant in. So I thought I'd show you guys this cool little Duvalaka. I'm sure you've seen this before, but I finally bit the bullet and bought one of these kits. And they're the best thing ever. So they've got a little plunger in there. It basically bleeds out all the air. So yeah, there is actually a bleed port on these on the top rad neck, but these things are great. So I'm going to fill this up, bleed it out. I'll probably pull the engine fuse out, crank it over a few times to prime all the oil through the turbo and just check that we've got pressure and everything because it hasn't been run for a while. And yeah, then I'll fire it up and hopefully no leaks, and then maybe go for a little drive. We'll see how we go. The tray's kind of covered in heaps of shit, so maybe not today. It's also wet. It's probably not a good idea. Okay, so I had an engine light. I'm not sure whether that is, I'm guessing it's probably something to do with the DFI, because sometimes when I move those cables, one of the connections is a bit shitty, so it's potentially that. Something sounded like it was knocking. But for the most part it was sounding nice and smooth, no exhaust leaks or anything like that. My oil pressure sender looks like it's leaking from somewhere. I don't know why or where, so I'll grab a mirror and have a look at that. So I found why the car was leaking oil. Look at this. See the cracks there and there. I wonder whether that's been cracked for a while, because I've always had oil residue and I've never been able to figure out where it was coming from. So, oh, that's the end of that. Time to head over to Rocket and grab a new fitting. Then I can finally start and actually run the ute. So, it's always the most unexpected and the most stupid simple things. So.